in coaching, the next one of these things that we teach is problem
Button plan.
button and plan. So this is how I treat scenarios of coaching and working through problems with people. But I come up with names and words so that you guys can remember it. This goal, value, opportunities for you, not for me. I already know how to do this. This problem, button, plan is for you guys. It's a model for you to remember, just like goals, priorities, strategies, GPS, just like the 135, just like the 3 L's of the MREA book, right? All those other things you can think about. This is just a model. This is just a plan. So you could think that problem, button, plan is a way to coach somebody, but it's also a way to recruit somebody. What you're basically doing is understanding what the real problem is. What is it they want to solve? And when somebody comes into the room, what they normally do is they say, here is my problem. And that problem is, I can't recruit people to my team. So my job before I start coaching them and coming up with solutions is to prove that their issue is really they can't recruit to their team. So I would do that the same way that I figure out their goals. And I would slow down and say, or I'd slow down and ask a whole bunch of questions. Would it be okay if I asked you a bunch of questions so I can understand really what you want to accomplish? And I would go through and I'd say, Via, tell me more about who are you trying to recruit? How many are you trying to recruit? When do you need to recruit them by? How much time are you actually spending recruiting? What's your recruiting presentation? What's your value? What's your comp plan? Do you have a contract? Why would somebody join you? Why would they stay? How many people have joined you? How many people have stayed? How many people have left? And I start getting all this data and I'm taking notes. And what I'm doing is I'm looking through all this stuff and my goal is to circle a couple things and say, nah, you know what? Via said that her issue is she needs to be able to find more leads to recruit to her team. And I end up with, that's not the real issue. Via, don't you think that if you solve this and solve this, that would no longer be an issue? And if I can get her to acknowledge that, I've done my job of identifying what their real problem is. If I can get somebody to admit or acknowledge that they have a real problem, then I have a chance of actually fixing it. And when you fix somebody's fake problem, what happens is they come back the next month or the next year or the 6 months or the next day, and it's still an issue because the symptom, right, still exists because you didn't actually solve that disease. Good example would be an agent comes in and say, hey, Courtney, I need a different split on the deals, right? And our intuition says, well, all right, let's negotiate, let's solve that, let's do whatever. What the real problem is they have a spending problem. They have a gambling problem. Their expenses are too high. They have a money management problem. They aren't actually doing activities that get enough transactions. They don't have a split problem because they're getting a split on this one deal that rarely happens. They have a I'm not doing my shit problem, right? And I could change the split on them, but that's not going to solve it. The next month they're going to come back and want more because they still don't have enough money because they aren't doing the right thing, right? I honestly believe that you guys don't have a recruiting problem. You guys have a I don't call enough recruits problem. You guys don't get enough recruiting appointment problem because you allow the office stuff and the culture and the meetings and the agent drama and the broker issues and the MCA stuff and the conference calls and all the other bullshit to get in your way. So then you come back and you're like, it's so hard or I'm stressed or whatever. No, that's not your issue. So if I went there and I tried to say, hey, Jen, it's okay, I understand, let me help you with this thing, whatever it is, if that doesn't actually solve the problem, then the next month she's going to have the same exact problem. And I'm always in a cycle. So if I can identify the real problem, my next job is to identify the button. The button is the thing that you can push that will get somebody to do something that they aren't willing to do for themselves. Well, how is that working for you, Via? How do you feel about that? How is that affecting Ben? How's that affecting your kids? How's that affecting your ability to pay for their college? Right? How's that affecting your health? How's that affecting your life? How do you feel about that? How do they feel about that? And I'm asking questions until I can visibly see a response from Via that I can tell that that actually did hurt. And then once I see that I found the button, then I'm going to push it a little bit to see what happens. What would happen, Via, if you woke up in a year and you had the same exact problem? What if in 5 years you're in the same exact position as you were today and you continue to work 80 or 90 hours a week, and in 5 years you are in no better financial situation than you are today and finances still stressed you out? Let's just sit back and imagine that for a second. How would you feel about that? But that's the trajectory that everybody's on when they don't put focus on solving the real problem, right? How would Ben feel about that? How would it, and you start building that up and you ask the question, does this hurt enough for you to finally change it? Does this hurt enough for you to actually get out of this rut? Right? And then if they can acknowledge that, and if you can push it good enough, then you can say, we should make a plan. Would it be okay if I came up with a plan to help you? It might take us a while. And I did this with Erin. Erin, when she joined me, had like the 70s truck that was dented and white. It was a pile of crap. And she never had money. And she had college debt. And she had credit card debt. And she had 30 and 60 and 90-day lates on her mortgage. Like it was a mess. Now I could have went in there and said, hey, let me buy you a house. But I didn't do that. That wouldn't solve the problem. I bought her the Dave Ramsey book and made her read it. And then I made her talk to me about it. Then I made her create a budget. Then I made her print out her credit report. And then we worked on getting those things removed from her credit report. Then we created savings. And then I set her a goal for her savings, right? And then I taught her other ways to make additional income that didn't have to come from me, like getting a real estate license. And I worked on a plan until I got her into a position to where she was debt-free, she had money saved, and she could buy a house. And it took a process. What was cool was I was willing to be a part of that plan.
Okay, so with that, so I've got recruits who are interested. They're not at the finish line by any means. There's not enough of a problem. There's not enough of, they're not far enough down the plan route. And so I'm trying to stay in relationship and be the resource to help them. But I don't want to overextend in that space. I don't want to overinvest with these people, but I do want to be part of that process. And I feel like I'm on that plan process with them, doing exactly what you're doing with Erin, with some of them,
No,
not as
the difference is that Erin's already bought into me helping her, and she is on board with me. You're providing everything they need so they don't actually have to join.
So that's where I'm at, what I'm asking. So where do we find that balance?
So what's the Moliot guy's name?
Solomon.
No, other Moliot, my guy.
Oh, Kyle. Kyle.
It's giving away the cow, or the milk for free, so they don't want the cow. Yeah.
Wait, what is it again?
Don't buy
I
it.
always get that one.
Don't buy a cow.
They
They
won't
won't buy
buy
the
the
cow when you get the milk for free.
I want to buy a cow.
While Matt's looking that up, I was thinking about Real World on that one, because that was a deep example that he gave on Erin. I think Real World for us, I was just getting Tina yesterday, is an agent comes in and they think they're doing 24 deals a year and actually they did 16. We always know that, right? When you look on broker metrics, they don't know. And she had it in her head, she wanted to do 84 deals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I yesterday spent, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I just have a list of questions that's in your shared folder. It's just all the stuff. I don't know, how do you get your business? How many buyers, how many sellers, just all the stuff, right? You're just trying to get their business. What are your sources, whatever. We spend all that time. And then I pull them up on broker metrics. I'm like, okay, so you've got 10 listings and 6 buyers. We want to try to get 60-40 because every listing should get 2 buyers, whatever, go through the whole thing. So I go, so basically, if you want to sell 84 homes, right, and we're going to get most of your buyer leads from listings, right? She's like, oh, yeah. like, we want to get between 30 and 40 listings. Right? You got, and you did 10. So we have a 12-month rolling period. So now it's already, so I'm like, we have a 10-month rolling period. And so let's call it 30 closings, which is what? 40 listings, 45 listings. I'm like, so your one thing is how do you get enough leads to get 40 to 45 listings? So it's your next step. And then your 135, and I showed her what a 135 is, and we went through the 135 on flip chart in your office. It's probably still there. And we went through 135 and we wrote down, how do I get 30 listings and, whatever. That's probably more real world. And then what I did is I'm like, so when you sign up next week, your homework is a 135 and your next coaching session comes after you sign up. I mean, because that's kind of what we typically get. Like, well, I'm doing 20 deals, I want to do 50. All right.
Yeah.